Welcome, or should I say Salamat Datang, because I'm Pak Troy, and this is my Suzuki Jimny Katana SJ410 that I have finally received back from Indonesia after living and working there for around the last 3 years with my wife. We purchased this from a lovely local family and drove it all around Jakarta, a little bit around Java. We even blew the motor up on top of a mountain, but we're so glad to have it back in the States. And I'm so happy to show you everything that I love about this car. All right, so powering this thing, we have a 1 liter 970cc 4-cylinder carbureted Suzuki F10A motor. It has been rebuilt recently in my ownership, which really came as a blessing in disguise. We were on our first big road trip with it, about 4 hours, heading to Bandung from Jakarta, cruising up a mountain on the toll road, and this thing got hot and just went boom. Coolant shooting out of the radiator, steam coming out of the tailpipe, no power, had to pull over, there's no safety breakdown lanes in Jakarta. We were just out there, and man, Aaron was ready to kill me at that time, but it turned out to be a total blessing in disguise because I really had my concerns about compression on this motor, just how many hours and miles it had on it, because in Jakarta you don't drive very many miles. You're really just sitting in traffic. It almost runs like a generator, and the odometer shows about 34,000 miles on it, but I'm almost positive that was flipped at 100,000 miles at least once, maybe twice. This is a 30-year-old vehicle, it's 1996, so you know, having it been rebuilt, I wouldn't have done it if I didn't blow the motor, and man, I probably would be paying a big pain right now for not doing that. So I'm really glad to have had this rebuilt in Jakarta. To help with the cooling, we've also upgraded to an aluminum rad, the electric cooling fan. After doing the electric cooling fan swap, we were having some issues where there just wasn't enough power coming out of the stock alternator. If you had the headlights on, the wipers on, and that electric fan came on, whoo man, this thing was tough to keep running. You would have to clutch in, stomp on the gas, drive an inch forward, clutch in, stomp on the gas, drive an inch forward, and man, it would get sketchy a couple times, but we'd always, you know, we made it most of the time. So yeah, I think this is a 130 amp alternator I had put in, got a brand new carburetor in here. You know what's funny is this does not have heat. There's no factory option for heat on this motor, probably due to keeping it cheap for the market it was sold in. You don't really need heat in Indonesia. It does have AC and power steering, which I'm pretty sure is not original, but it works really well, and I'm super glad to have it. It was a lifesaver in Jakarta. A couple other things, upgraded a few wires, new coil, new spark plugs, and stuff like that. Yeah, it runs really well. It took some time to get running in the cooler temperatures here. I mean, this thing had probably never seen below 80 degrees in its entire life, maybe 75. So when it showed up here in December and I was trying to get it started at 22 degrees, it was not having it. It took me better part of 6 weeks to finally get it started after it showed up. Yeah, it was a trip, but I'm really glad to have it running. All right, let's kick things off with this awesome paint job. Daffodil yellow on the bottom, white on top. We're really going for those like 90 series Land Rover Defender kind of like just casual off-road, hit the beach, hit the shops, go downtown, throw a surfboard on top. We have a roof rack for it. I haven't been able to put it back on yet, but I'll get into that soon. And yeah, to match the awesome off-road feel of this thing, I converted it to 4-wheel drive. It did come factory as a 2-wheel drive car, which was honestly perfect for Jakarta, but I love hitting the beach. I love going, you know, a couple forest trails and stuff like that. So really 4-wheel drive was necessary, and it was a super easy swap on these things because they're just kind of like Lego cars. Front axle fits the 2-wheel drive, fits the 4-wheel drive, transfer case is divorced. It was super easy to do. Threw these awesome hand-cooked Dynapro MT2 tires on here. Got the factory style rims painted in white to match the top. All right, let's talk about the interior. We have this gorgeous wood trimmed Grant steering wheel. It has your classic kph, rpm, center console there. It did not come with heat, but you can see the AC controls there. Upgraded the radio. Also, look at that sweet 8-ball shifter. The pattern is a standard, 5-speed pattern that we'd find in the States. But what's funny about it is, since it's on the left-hand side, because you're driving in the right-hand seat, first it's really far away, reverse is right up alongside your leg. So that can kind of be an interesting adjustment. Got some issues going on with that handle, but we're trying to get it prettied up. These seats actually are not the original seats to the vehicle. They are taken from a Toyota Hiace van, and it's kind of like just your standard people mover, taxis, and tour buses kind of van you would see over there. And someone took these and put custom brackets on the bottom that would fit mostly in this Jimny, and they have been really a good upgrade. They don't fit perfectly, but much better than the factory seats that have been 30 years old and were cloth and sweated in. And I'm so glad not to have those anymore. And what's really nice is we have this domed roof. So yeah, plenty of headroom on the inside. When you sit in the back, you just look straight forward. You don't have to kick your neck to the side. I have a really tall torso and I fit just great. So yeah, the inside's actually a pretty lovely place to be. Upgraded the speakers a little bit, and yeah, totally comfortable. So coming around back here, you can see we have our spare tire mounted up. A little shout out to Jang Auto Parts once again. I really would not have been able to get this thing into such good condition, let alone keep it running, without his help. Poor Bule in Indonesia, he really did help me out as much as he could. I've added this nice flip-up table. A couple beers, a couple snacks up here. I don't see why you wouldn't. But let's talk about why most of you probably clicked on this video thinking that this is a K car. It is not within K spec for Japan. The Suzuki Jimny body, I believe some of them have this high rooftop. I have not seen too many of them. Is a K car in Japan with a 660cc motor. This has the 1 liter, which is too big, which I can't believe because it's only like 40 horsepower. But anyways, unfortunately, I can't speak too much to the process of importing the vehicle, as the reason we move around all the time is for work, and the place where I work helps us move vehicles and household goods as we do that. So really, my work helped me move this and did a lot of the paperwork and handled the shipping and the routes and stuff like that. So unfortunately, I can't speak to that much. I can say, expect a bit of a hiccup when you get to the States. The RMV is not going to recognize it. The VIN is not going to be in any other databases. So paperwork. All the paperwork you can get figured out beforehand is going to save you a ton. Is Indonesia a better place to import from than Japan? That I definitely would not say. Japan, there's so many people buying K cars right now. That road is really well traveled. There are, just importers and exporters, and all the rules are in place. Everyone knows what they're talking about when you call them and ask. But with Indonesia, it's not Japan. And with all of these rules coming around the Japanese mini trucks, the different K cars that are being imported into America right now, the feds have been cracking down on them. They've not been cracking down on them. Massachusetts banned them and then unbanned them. Maine has this law on the books that says no Japanese imports. And when I sat down to register this the first time, the woman behind the desk at the DMV said, "Well, is that one of those Japanese cars? Those are banned right now." And I said, no, it's from Indonesia. And she said, "Oh, well, show me a picture. Let me see it." And she said, "Oh, that's so cute. Let's get it registered. Let's figure this out, because it's different in their opinion. I don't know why, but if we start running into issues legally with Japanese imports being banned, there is a possibility that importing through Indonesia could be a decent workaround. So as you know, if that whole situation develops, it could be a good place to keep an eye out on working with them. With that said, it did take me 8 months to get this registered in my name when I was living and working in Indonesia. So, you know, there's going to be some hiccups. They don't issue a title in Indonesia. They issue this form called STNK. It's an official document, proves ownership and registration. But in order to export the vehicle, I had to turn that form back in. And when I told the customs agent that, they're like, what do you mean you don't have a title? I'm like, no, it's registered in my name. I just only have this photocopy of it. It took some time for them to understand that. It took some convincing for the Borders and Protection Patrol agents to understand that it is indeed in my name. And I think, you know, just a couple letters and emails. It took from the time, let's see, we left in April and handed over to the shipping company, and it took until, I want to say, September for this to ship. And that was getting the green light from Customs and Border Patrol was the big hang up there. So, you know, your mileage may vary. I've heard it go much faster. I've heard it go a little slower. But yeah, it's a mixed bag. That said, I'm super glad to have this here with us. I'm going to be towing it back up to Massachusetts in the near future for the Nantucket Daffodil Day parade. Unfortunately, this won't be able to be in the actual parade due to the new rules, but we're going to have it parked around all the other retro cars and hopefully showing it off a little bit. And I just want to say thank you for watching. Please like, and terima kasih to anyone in Indonesia who's watching. And yeah, thank you very much. Bye.